Welcome to the new listeners and welcome back to those who have been listening to us to the Breaking Even Better podcast. This is the podcast where business growth and success makes us feel less like a grind and more like an adventure. I'm Brenda Harris, your staffing strategist, because hiring should be smart, seamless, and successful. And I have my other two co-hosts with me, Carolina Aponte and Trish Saman.
Hey, Carolina Ponte here, your fractional CFO and the numbers nerd.
And I'm Trish Seaman. I'm your digital marketing decoder. And today we're diving into a topic that usually makes people groan, including myself sometimes. But we promise if you stick with us, we're about to make it sexy. We're talking about SOPs, baby, standard operating procedures.
Building a business can feel like a roller coaster.
Financial headaches, hiring drama, and marketing overwhelm are just a few things that make for a bumpy experience. But with the right people sitting next to you, you might actually enjoy the ride.
That's why we started Breaking Even Better, to demystify entrepreneurship so we can make the ups and downs a hell of a lot more fun.
Each week, we'll bring you the raw, real, and unfiltered insights from our own experiences and expertise. If you're ready for no BS, honest stories, and a lot of laughter, then buckle in and listen up.
And let's ride this roller coaster together.
Now, again, I know what you're thinking. SOPs are not sexy, but promise, hear me out, believe me, because what is sexier than running a business that doesn't constantly stress you the F out? Am I right, ladies? Am I right?
Exactly. SOPs are all about making sure your business is run smoothly, even when you're not there, because micromanaging everything is out of style.
Yes.
Your SOPs create consistency, efficiency, and let's be real, peace of mind.
That's right. Taking off and playing is the best part of that. However, when we're talking about SOPs, we're talking about things that has a financial impact. Well-documented SOPs can increase the company's valuation, reduce your costly mistakes, and help new hires get to speed faster.
That is true. So, with that said, let's talk about some common misconceptions about those SOPs, right? So, let's bust some myths. Okay. Myth number one, SOPs are only for big companies. Nope, even solopreneurs. That's right, ladies. Even when you are by yourself, all by your own, solopreneurs can benefit from having clear workflows because in the absence of them, you can make yourself crazy. So I promise you, SOPs are not just for those big companies, right?
That's right. That's right.
That's
And
right.
let's be real. Even if you, to your point, if you're a solopreneur and you think you don't need things in writing, what if you get sick? What if
Mm.
you want to hire somebody? What if you want to, I don't know, go to Italy and spend a week with your friends, on a boat and go into the winery? What happens then? Like you have to be able to have things in place in order to not be on all the time.
All the time.
Yes.
So, myth number two, writing SOPs is time consuming and boring. I mean, it kind of is.
A
Well,
little bit. A little
a
bit.
little bit. But if it's done with the right approach, hello, voice recordings, AIs, all of these things make it a lot easier. And then you spend a lot less time and you get it done right.
Hmm.
So myth number three, we're going to free up our mind space because not having good SOPs can give you a false sense of security. Having strong SOPs gives you more flexibility, removes the bottlenecking, and it makes things repeatable.
It's true. Okay. So we've done it. So the myths have now been busted, but where do we begin? How do you get started? You know, when we've got you covered when it comes to like a simple, sexy SOP workflow, but I promise you, you're going to want to implement it too. And the best part about this bad boy is it's free. It's plug and play document that walks you right through your first SOP documentation process. Okay?
Mhm. All right, so what
Hmm.
does it include? Let's talk about what it includes, right? Uh, Task name and purpose, because we got to know what the heck is it? Am I doing bookkeeping? Am I doing social media? Am I doing hiring? Like what's the task, right?
Hmm.
Uh, who's responsible for it? I mean, obviously, if you're a solopreneur, well, I guess tag you're it. I don't know. But
Seriously.
I mean, that's how I feel like 60% of the time.
I feel that.
But in all seriousness, who's going to be responsible for this? Because even if you're a solopreneur, you may be outsourcing, a virtual assistant or, some other kind of services. So it's not always you. Number three, I think, is step-by-step instructions. Like open Windows, click on new tab, type in the whatever, click on, that's the details step by step for what to complete the task. The next one is the tools and resources that are needed. Okay, we had some technical difficulties at some point in our Breaking Even Better recording, and we had to figure out what tools and resources did we have available to overcome that. And, we were able to get that done because we had it. Five is quality control checks. Again, we were testing the microphone and the camera and the lights and all of these things. So the same thing goes with anything in your business. You look, test it out and see if it actually works. And then now you have a proven concept of your SOP. And then last but not least, make notes for future improvement. And I think this one is a big one for me because when I'm doing certain things, I've done it in a certain way. I think it works, but it's better than what I've been doing. So I make a note. Hey, this is something we need to include for our next revision. Because obviously you're not going to be doing this all the time, but you want to, you know, make it better.
Even better.
Right. So we're keeping it simple so you can take action immediately with those different steps to have in your template. And then download it. I have my training module on my desktop, but you would download it wherever you need to have it to make sure you can get to it. And then Trish,
Hmm.
what's some real life stories that people can hear and see if they can resonate with from us?
So let's see. Like, I know that when we started implementing SOPs for onboarding, and I know we talked about this in a previous episode, but the onboarding one was really important. It really is like the hub. It's almost like a traffic cop at a four-way stop because this has to happen, then this has to happen, then this has to happen. And in some cases, those SOPs are tied to a client, but then they're tied to, all right, well, where's the handoff? Almost like hot potato, right? Like, okay, it goes here and goes here and goes here. But I know that Carolina implemented something recently too, and I wanted to hear some of her impact because I remember like literally sitting with you, I think it was over dinner, and you were talking about having hired somebody who helped you with your SOPs and I think it was Luis too, if memory serves. And you were just like so thrilled to pieces about what a difference it made in your business, not just with the team, but like what a breath of fresh air it was. So why don't you talk a little bit about that? Like how did that impact you?
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Like it changed so many things for me. Yes, Luis is the owner of Making It Different. So he specializes in looking at the workflows for businesses and finding the gaps and opportunities to improve the processes and to create repeatable tasks so that nothing really falls through the crack, right? And then
Mhm.
there's the opportunity for accountability. And that was, I think, one of my biggest opportunities because, started by myself, started adding people, writing things as I went. Oh, here, do it this way, and don't worry about it. And then I was reinventing the wheel over and over again. That was not a good strategy for growth.
Probably not. Probably not the best way. But it can catch up with you because you know how to do everything and kind of like offloading it in your brain. It's not that fun, right? So
Right.
I'm
No,
glad
it's
Louise.
not. And so here's what really like the backstory, right? Is that I started realizing that I was dropping the ball, that I was getting all of these leads that were coming in, but I didn't have enough bandwidth myself to handle all of those leads and do the proper scheduling and follow up and making sure that they got the proposals and then that I closed the deal. Like, and I started feeling really uncomfortable because I was like, God dang it, I'm missing out on making more money. And I like
Right.
making money.
Yes. Yes,
Right.
ma'am.
But it just dawned on me that the reason that was happening is because I was doing the sales process so manual and it was all relying on me that I could not never grow my business beyond where it was because I was that, I still had that rudimentary way of handling the leads and the sales process. So along comes Luis, who is an engineer by trade, but has managed many organizations and helped them develop their processes and systems. And I'm like, okay, so I know your family, so I'm gonna need some discounts, but like I need you now because
Right.
I've come to this place where I know I have maxed out my capacity and I don't know how to change it.
Mm-hmm.
And so along comes Luis, and he's like, okay, so let's go to the whiteboard and let's start writing some things and like picture the thing to see what goes first. The
Mm-hmm.
egg of the chicken. I don't know what goes first. So the incredible thing is that he started asking questions that seem simple, but he's like, so how do the leads come in? Who gets the leads? I was like, well, that will be me. And then he's like, so what do you do with the leads? I said, well, it's on my inbox. And whenever I get to it, and he's like, oh, and how many have you not scheduled?
Right.
Oh, and then I was like, oh, that's right.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I've missed this thing. So long story short, he goes through a whole series of questions and he's writing all these things down. Then he's asking about the applications that we were using and, who does what, when, and how in our business, like the team, who does this, who does that. And then he went to work and he came back and he's like, okay, so here's the workflow and here's the bottleneck. And like, you're the bottleneck. So in order to remove you as a bottleneck, we have to create a different process that catches. And then when the if and then happens, it can move forward and it doesn't have to wait for you. And it completely shifted the way we handle our leads and the closing rate
Mm-hmm.
for our clients just went up and like tremendously because then I wasn't the bottleneck. Somebody else was watching, somebody else was scheduling, somebody else was sending stuff. And there was not just somebody else, but there was some automation behind it so that it didn't have to rely solely on a person.
Mm-hmm.
And it allowed us to grow our revenue in 1 year almost 40%.
Wow.
I'm going to repeat that number, guys. Almost 40% gross revenue based on improving our processes. And that's how you get
Mm.
SOP sexy, baby.
That is sexy. Like that. I like it. So I heard you say he called you were known as the bottleneck. That's tough taking as the business owner. You being the bottleneck.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it is for me at that, but I like the 40% and the sexiness about that for sure. Um, but getting down to this, I want to know a lot about if our listeners are having these struggles with delegation. One of my clients finally wrote down her client onboarding process and she no longer needed me. She no longer needed the business. She freed up hours just by having that. And with her doing that, I did it. And it did the same thing for like the office staff. I know, like I think I said this in one of the other episodes that I did the SOP, and my new hire process is very much streamlined now. So I just want to know if anybody else have had those type situations or can resonate with that, because
Mm.
this is, you need to subscribe, listen, share, and let's get down to some action steps that we can take.
Got that right. So I would love to challenge our listeners. Uh-oh, here comes a challenge, y'all. That's right, because we are spilling our guts over here, telling you all the ways that we got it wrong and now we got it right. So we are going to challenge you. And what we want you to do is take one, just one recurring task in your business and document it. We've got a free template. You can use it. Start with one, kind of like the 1% and the profit first episode that we did. You got to start with something. So let's start with 1% of your workflow, right? Let's start with one little task, and we've got that template that you can use and implement it. Just
Mhm.
one, boo-boos. You could do it. We believe in you.
Well, here's the thing. Starting small. I always say this, like on the profit
Mhm.
first, start with 1%. Like that doesn't feel as hard, right? It feels attainable. I guess is the word I wanna use. It feels attainable because when we kind of create these big goals, if I would have said, well, hey, Luis, we need to change our entire company. God dang. Well, how we're gonna do that? Like, who's gonna find
That's right.
the time and the mental capacity to do all of that? But
Mhm.
it started with just the lead process and closing deals. That
Mhm.
was the very beginning of everything else that then proceeded to change because we started with that one thing.
That's right.
So I love the challenge, Trish, because if you start with just the one thing and you realize that it helps your business, it improves the customer experience, or even for yourself, because it's not only the outside, right? It's also you as the business owner. Because what is one of the biggest issues that we tend to have is we're working endless hours, we're wearing all the hats, we're trying to be innovative and come up with new things, we're trying to take care of the client, we're trying to take care of the employees. So that doesn't leave much time for you as the business owner to take care of yourself. So what the sexy SOPs to me mean, I get time to play. Because if things are working out, right, and people are doing what they're supposed to do, I get to play. So the challenge, please accept it.
How do you eat an elephant? One bite at a time, right?
That's right. And once you're done with that, why don't you DM us or tag us with a picture of your completed SOPs? We love to cheer you on and give you
That's
a shout out.
right.
So I do want
Absolutely.
to ask Trish, what's the one process or SOP that you created that transformed the way you thought about SOPs?
Sure. So for us, it was an onboarding document. And part of the reason why we implemented that was because obviously we need things like access to websites and we need access to social media and things like that. But we also need to know more details about the kinds of clients that they're going for. So there's a litany of questions that happens. And a lot of times clients will actually get very intimidated because they're like, I don't know how to answer all these questions. So the way that our process is we will take our onboarding document, and once they've closed and they've paid their invoice, they get their onboarding document and they have to fill it out. Once that's done, and they're like, well, I don't really know this part. I don't know how to answer this question. I'm like, and that is why we're going to have your onboarding call. So we pair the two together. So there's some ownership from them. We start getting the information we need, and then it's a collaborative effort moving forward. So that's what I love. That one right there, that I guess strategy for not only getting ownership from a client, but also getting all the information that we needed. That was probably one of the biggest game-changing activities we engaged in from a workflow perspective. So,
That's awesome. What
yeah,
about you, Brenda?
The one I love the most is the new hire. However, we did do one for the recruiting process. And we went as far as naming every single acronym we can think and left space for new ones. We also, because most hospitals have checklists, we included in our SOPs a space for that because then they all are different. So it has to be a space for that so we can learn how to even handle the different skills checklists. So everything is pretty much just like a step-by-step guide, which are standard operating procedures for that particular job. I have SOPs for quite a bit of things, because it's so many different turning wheels. But the one I'm so proud of is the training because it does free up my time. Like I know how long it's gonna take. I know what we gotta cover. I know what I need, and I'm pretty much in and out. I've done my job, and everything is good. And they can't say they didn't learn the material because I gave it to them.
I love it.
That's
I
right.
love it.
I love it
I
too.
can tell you, that, obviously, a few years have gone by, so we've improved all of our standard operating procedures. But going back to something that you said, Brenda, about delegation and how sometimes you can feel as a business owner or as a manager for that matter, that you are the one who knows how to do it right, that
Mm-hmm.
nobody can do it better than you. And it's hard to let go of the thing that you believe that you are the best at, even though sometimes it's not factual, as
It's true.
I have learned.
Hmm.
And so I say that because the hiring process for people for my team, it was something that I was handling, right? As a small business owner, I was posting the job, I was interviewing, I was doing the selection, then I was doing the background check. Like I was doing all of those steps myself. And some things happened with team members that made me realize maybe I'm not the right person to be interviewing these people
Mm.
Yeah.
because I'm not as objective, because I have this preconceived notion of what somebody should already know or do or whatever. And so, what if I delegate this part of the process and remove myself from it? What kind of results can I get? Well, it's a game
Great
changer,
insight.
guys.
Yeah, it's a
It's
great
a
insight.
game changer. Like we just have a new team member. The team selected. They went, they reviewed the resumes, they selected the candidates, they did the interviewing, and then they came back and said, here's the person we think you should talk to.
Yep.
Just to give it your like, because you're the owner, like, sure, but we're like, really, we're hiring them.
I love that. In the Goldman Sachs program, I realized and I said this before, I'm sure, but I realized I was the problem in the hiring. So now the team does the same thing, and I love it. They have to work with them all day. I don't. So
Right.
it's really good. I can understand
It
your
is.
excitement.
Yeah.
I will say that our roles as business owners and as leaders, and this is the sexiest thing I can think of straight up in the business world, which is rendering yourself obsolete. Like, if you can do
Mhm.
that, then you have done it all. If you can get whether it's AI or whether it's team members or just your SOPs kind of humming along like an assembly line, just clicking by, and every click is more money for you. I am here for it. And that is without question the sexiest thing I can think of, y'all. Truly. So, on that sexy note, that's it for today's episode. So, I would like to make sure that you don't forget to grab your free SOP workflow template. It's in our show notes. So, please, by all means, hop in there and grab it and make sure you start getting that sexy SOP flow for you as well.
And if you found this episode useful, make sure you share with a fellow business owner who perhaps may be a little chaotic in their processes.
Never.
And here's what I can promise you as the accountant in the room, I like to say it is not an expense to invest in getting your SOPs in order. It's an investment
Mhm.
because remember what I said earlier, that 40%, it's a big number to have. When you have the right processes in place and you have the people doing what they're supposed to do, you as a business owner are able to make more money and have more time to do the things that you're really good at versus struggling and reinventing the wheel day in, day out. And I think that's very sexy.
I agree. I think I have freed up that time because I get them out on the floor quicker once I finish. So that's good. I hadn't even thought about it that way. But anyway, as always, hit the button to follow us and don't miss our next episode. Until then, keep breaking even better.
Thank you so much for listening to the Breaking Even Better podcast. If you've enjoyed this episode, please take a minute to leave us a review on Apple Podcasts and subscribe to our YouTube channel for more content. To connect with our podcast or any of us individually, make sure you head to the show notes for all the links you need. See you in the next episode.